All right. And we are live. I am your host, RJ Carter, here at the Critical Blast Caverns. And we are reaching out across political lines because that's what we do. We grasp hands with people in the name of comics. And we have Commi Mark with us tonight to talk about his book, The Adventures of Kim Il Sung and Best Korea. How you doing tonight, Mark?
Really well. I'm based over here in the UK, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning here, which is fantastic that I get to spend my Friday night speaking with you, speaking to all these people about this great comic that I have coming out. So thank you for giving me the
Well,
opportunity to come on. I'm eternally
well, I
grateful.
hope you had a lot of other people lined up. I hope you had more than just me lined up. I'd hate to think I kept you up all night just to talk to me.
Like
That would
I I
be
deliberately booked this entire week off of wage slavery as holiday, so I could spend every day promoting I think this is like show number 9 or 10 now in a row, so it's pretty sweet.
all right. And now, how many days have you got until your campaign comes to an end and gets ready to fulfill? And it is going to fulfill, you've made the money on it. You made the
Yeah.
goal.
I've already passed 1 million Korean won, and we're at like 128, 138%, something like that, like smashing it. The book is almost finished. Like I have a prototype version here, which you can see. This is the
cool.
fanzine version. This is the version that I've printed off at home and stapled like really badly. Can you see that it's stapled in the sides rather than being saddle stitched or whatever? Because this is the shit proletariat version in it for collectors. Yeah,
Very cool.
It's definitely gonna be happening. Like it's funded. I've got the book. I've just got to do like some inserts, some fake adverts, and stuff like that to give it that extra punch.
You've got to come up with that propaganda to put into it.
Yeah, exactly.
To get people behind you. All right.
Yeah.
So now this is, as I understand it, an alternate history, being with the Korean War or prior to the Korean War.
Yeah,
How does this lay out?
Okay, so the book opens with like the day before the atomic bomb is dropped on Japan.
Okay.
So it's from that moment that the timelines like branch off from real life, and it because in this world, it's sort of like, does Kim Il Sung think that he's really magic? Like, is the country like playing along? Like, it's a running joke through the whole thing, and it's the version of events as told by Kim Il Sung, and to the people of Korea. I'm the best. I did it all. Like that's, yeah.
That makes sense. So it's a first person story. So we don't necessarily know if the narrator is a reliable narrator or he's kind of BSing the audience as we go along here.
That's it. It's like an unreliable narrator, propaganda, sort of how those two things blend together. It's actually broken up into like chapters that are sort of like when the president gives the State of the Union or whatever, it does like an address to the whole country on TV. It's like a series of those, and where each one he says this is what happened like in this chunk of time, like if that makes sense. So they're all delivered like speeches almost.
Okay. Now we do have the link description for everybody who wants to check that out. If you haven't been here yet and you can play, it's there. The preview pages I've seen, some of them, not all of them, but some of them are done up from photographs, like an old Italian fumetti book.
Yeah.
How did you go about picking which photos you wanted to use, and is there any significance to any of these?
So what I always say is that because I'm a writer and not an artist, like maybe a conceptual artist or something like outside of that, but because I can't draw, I had to find ways to make comic books without drawing when you can't afford to hire someone in it, like to draw it for you. I needed to get some books out, so people would say, "Oh, Commi3 is a good writer. Like, I would like to draw something for him." So in this book, I've done that by using photographs, and it was a really difficult thing to do because there's only so many photographs from inside North Korea, specifically from that time as well. So
Sure.
the photos that were available sort of like informed how the events like happen, and it like I had to stitch them all together. Like imagine, so I've got like 3,000 North Korean photos like around, and it's like, how can I put them all together to go ta-da? Like it makes a story that ends differently from
Right.
the real story was.
So that was sort of your challenge. You had the puzzle pieces, but you didn't have the picture on the front of the box, so to speak. And it was all, let's
Exactly.
see what I can make out of this.
I
That's
like
very
that as
cool.
a way of
So
explaining it. I was saying I like that as a way to
what
explain it.
inspired you to go with this? Oh, well, you're very welcome. It's
Yeah, I'm gonna steal that. Like, I keep trying to find like little sound bites in it that I can sum it up with, and that's a great one. It's like a jigsaw that I didn't have the box for. So this one came about just because I was playing like a war game. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hearts of Iron games. I was just playing one of those in it, and was like, oh, this could be like a writing hack in it, like a world builder sort of thing, like, so you can't. And then I thought I'll do this photo thing to lay out the story of what happened. And also, I love
and why did you
communism.
pick North Korea?
Uh,
I've understood that. Yes.
So North Korea is a really interesting country because of the propaganda that comes out of there in it, and it was the perfect fit for how to do this alternate version. Because as well as every American must realize that the version of the Korean War that they learn in North Korea is obviously different from our version in it. This is like their version of how they've won it. Oh, and I was going to say, I really like having these restrictions to write within, like because if I didn't have those, like I'd be constantly going outwards in it, like, and I'd never get to the end. So it really helps me
Sure.
creatively,
You
like.
could branch off all over.
So I have this
Yeah,
other
you're
book.
right. The saying is, as the saying goes, history is written by the winners. And even here in the United States, history classes about the American Civil War in the middle 1800s, if you're in the Deep South, you don't learn about the Civil War. You learn about the War of Northern Aggression. So
Yeah, that's
it's all
exactly
a matter of perspective.
those are the sort of themes that are looking at in there. And so a joke that I've been making on the circuit is I've been saying, and in this version, North Korea win the war like Vietnam did, like because that's not the version that gets taught in America either, is it? Like so it's kind of like a jab at that as well.
Yeah, I think the version that we teach about Vietnam is everybody lost that one.
Yeah.
So are you thinking of branching out after this one, and telling us all about the adventures of perhaps Lenin or Marx or any
I,
of the other more famous?
Look, I have half an idea for something to do down the line. Like, I've got like my own 5-year plan, my own Great Leap Forward in it of like all these books that I want to make. Like, and I have an idea that's for further down the line to do like a Fidel Castro and Che Guevara prevent the assassination of JFK book. Like, but that would be so hard to like stitch together, like to make that happen. But I'm gonna try and find a way to do that in the future.
That would be a very, very interesting alternate history, especially have in that time period owe his life to these two historical figures. Definitely alter the course of events in history.
Yeah, and so it would be
And
in the
how we
same.
see these people.
Yeah, it would be in the same universe as the Kim Il Sung book as well, in it. So it carries on like the alternate history for that universe.
Okay. So you'll be fulfilling on this soon, and you've already showed up. We've got a mostly finished book here. At least the prototype is almost ready to go. So you just got to go to the printer. What are they getting physically? I mean, how many pages are we talking about? Is it color, black and white? How'd you pick paper types? This is a boring mechanical stuff.
Yeah. So the book, the prototype of the book is 27 pages. Yeah. In my previous books that I made, these not Daredevil books, which I dubbed over Golden Age public domain books, made by Lev Gleason, the original Daredevil character, like redubbed those. And so all the in between each like comic, because there's like 13-page stories or whatever, I had these fake adverts and like some columns where I'd like explain some stuff about the time and make jokes and stuff. And I'm going to do that for this, but I don't know how many pages that's going to add yet. So I'm saying that it's going to be 30 plus because it's going to add at least 3 definitely. But I know I might sit down at the computer and just start writing and it'll come out of my fingers. I might add 12 pages. Like, you just don't know yet, and but it's guaranteed to be at least 30 pages.
So you might have. So you're funded, but you might have a bigger book than you planned on funding. Is that of any concern?
The price difference for 10 pages isn't that significant, especially on such a small campaign. Like, I've deliberately launched this really like niche product first in it, so I can have a small campaign where a small number is a good success, and I can see what it's like to have to pack them all in Gemini mailers, how to print, what's the most efficient way to print off all the labels, how many envelopes do I have to lick, like so I can get the process down and prove for the next book. Oh, Commi3 delivered all of the books. He said he was going to do this, and he did that. Look, so there's been a lot of talk, like in the last few days, about new creators and stuff like that. So I'm just going to nail the small one first.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's the same process of all the steps are there, whether you put out 100 books or you put out 12,000 books. So, learn small and then expand it out as you get a bigger project going.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know how you're feeling today, but I am wiped out emotionally today. Just have you been paying much attention to what's been going on in comics Twitter today?
Well, the news of the day is the whole Sean Gordon Murphy and Doug TenNapel thing, and it. That's like the biggest story that I've seen. I'm assuming that's what you're pointing me towards.
Exactly. That's what it's one of those things where I'm sitting there, I'm involved in it, I'm tweeting about it, and I'm pissed off, and I don't know who I'm pissed off at. It's like, I'm not pissed off at Sean. He got pressured into a decision, and I'm not pissed off at Doug. I mean, he's a victim in this too. He was getting backers because he had a celebrity name assigned to his book. And people are just saying, well, Sean was within his rights, or Sean bent the knee. I might have to sleep on this one. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
It's out. This shouldn't be an issue, like, and it shouldn't matter if you have different views from other people. Like, you should be allowed to work together in it. Like, look at us. We're doing like a whole East and West, like Rocky IV thing, and it like well, they didn't work together in Rocky IV, but you know what I'm saying. Like, so it shouldn't matter. the dollar in capitalism is supposed to be the king, and and that should overpower pressure. This is what I'll say. Doug isn't paying him enough if he was willing to give the money back, just because some people are complaining on the internet.
True. I can see that. I mean, if it was, if I was being paid $1,000 for a cover, I'd be like, no, I need that $1,000. You can go all pound sand.
Exactly.
And I've seen some crazy lady who does indie books. Now it's smelling blood in the water is what they're doing. They've got a taste of it. He dropped. Let's see if we can get him to drop up north now. And that's where the latest pressure has been. And hopefully she's been soundly mocked and roundly put away. I replied to her, blocked right away. So
all of the drama in CG, it's just like the sea. Like it comes in, like, and you go, oh shit, there's drama, and then it like goes back again, and then it gets to like Wednesday, and oh shit, it's coming back in again. Like just it never ends, does it? Like it washes over everyone eventually. Like
yeah, that's the drama, and CG is like this big sandcastle on the beach, and the drama comes in and it washes out. Now there's two sandcastles that are half a size each. And another one comes in, and now there's a bunch of little sandcastles every time it pulls out. Like we see it schism every time something happens. So I figure we're about a week and a half out from branch of fundamentalist CG versus reformed CG versus Methodist CG, whatever it's going to be now.
It's all very Judean People's Front, and it doesn't matter. We're all on the same team, really.
We're making comics. Well, y'all are making comics. I don't make any comics. I write books, and I do a website. But and books, I need to shill people coming in that Critical Blast is, in fact, its own publishing arm, and we have our hardcover young adult novel out on Amazon. This is Bulletproof Origins, featuring 16-year-old Cody Haywood, who wakes up on his birthday to find out he's bulletproof. Unfortunately, Cody has the attention span of a ferret on pixie sticks, and his focus problem becoming a superhero is an issue. So it's difficult for him to take on the terrorists who have learned he's bulletproof and who want to dissect him and have their secret for themselves. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the description below. This is Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. It's the first hardcover from Critical Blast Publishing, and we are going to have more. We're already reading for the next anthology, the next fantasy anthology, which is People's Contracts, Coffee Meetings, and other run-ins with old scrap. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of submissions on that. We're reading through the end of April. All right, if you're just joining in, we are talking with Commi3 about the adventures of Kim Il-sung. And I got to say that is hard for me to say because I'm still westernized where it's like, wait, no, it's Kim Jong-un. No, it's Kim Jong-il. No, it's Kim Il-sung. My history is not that great for that era.
I have heard people call him Kim Tu-sung, while reading it, which makes me chuckle every time that someone does that. But yeah, the name's really long.
Well, I'm used to hearing the ill at the end, not in the middle.
Yeah.
It is. And the Kim family's been in charge for a long time.
Yeah, basically since the end of World War II. There was a little bit of a skirmish over the area, and it's been in ever since. It's so interesting, the mythology of the Kim family. It's literally written into the Korean culture. It's worth looking at.
I wonder if they have comic books in North Korea.
I have seen a picture
they'd have to be like propaganda comics.
Yeah. I have seen a picture of a little girl reading a comic book because I was looking into how to be the best-selling comic book in North Korea. I thought maybe if I can sell one in North Korea, it would be the best-selling one. But there's definitely at least one of the comic book in the country that was in that photo.
Well, you've got to be very, very careful about what literature you leave in North Korea because somebody picks up the wrong book, you might have to answer for it in one way or another.
Yeah, I would I can never go to North Korea now because they will kill me for this. Like, this is a sin. You're not even allowed to like touch photos of him and it, like, or paintings. You're not allowed to move them in your house, but you have to have them in your house. Like, yeah, they would assassinate me immediately as I arrived, which would be great.
So you're taking your life in your hand. So somewhere like you're going to have the adventures of Muhammad, right? Because that would be real fun.
That would be a very interesting book to write, indeed. Yeah, I'll add that to the list. I'm going to put that right at the other end of the 5-year plan.
The far end of it. Once you have a safe house built and you're going to be fine. Perfect. All right. So we met during the time I was interviewing the Merry Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Fellows, you popped up in the chat, and that's how they introduced me. I know that they are hashtag CGUK. Are you hashtag CGUK? Is that a big thing?
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of us, about 13, 14, something like that, including Carl from Merry Boys and Peter Gilmore, who you spoke to. Was it yesterday or the day before? Like,
the day before. Just
yeah,
the time just flies. It all blends together.
Yeah. So there's those two guys, Captain F-Head, Charlie's London, loads, William Hazel. Like, I think you spoke to him before. There's a whole bunch of people in it, and we do a stream every Wednesday at 10 p.m. GMT, which is 5 p.m. EST, so 6 p.m. Central. That would be for you, right?
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
6 hours off GMT.
We have this show every Wednesday, and we rotate it like between all of the people who are on the show. So you have to subscribe to everyone. We're equally redistributing the watch hours and it, like, because I was there when we made the plan, and it's just the communist model. So, but
from each streamer according to his ability, and to each streamer according to his need.
Exactly. Yeah. Put in what you can and take out what you need. So. Yeah, that's really cool. Those shows are really funny. Like, everything that I do, I try and like break the rule, like take the rules of what you're allowed and just like fuck them up and make something new in it that uses its own rules. So we have this show where we do that. We have a guest on, usually an American, and we'll play around with their property, like, and make some cool art things and do like a weird improv-y sort of game. It's really fun. You should watch it. You'll like it.
I will definitely check it out. Now, CG in America it seemed to grow up as sort of a rebellion, the American comic book industry. CG UK, is there that kind of a need, or is it just sort of the UK club American version? I don't know whether you guys see the same thing over there in Titan's books or 2000 AD's books.
Yes, so
hopefully not, because they were always so counterculture when I did read them.
There is a certain element of it in like creeping into the British books, but we still get the Marvel and DC, and those clearly all have the same problems.
Sure.
Still. And for me, at least, yeah, one of the reasons that I'm here in CG, that I'm doing crowdfunding, is because it's so difficult to get into the mainstream, because they, it's like they pulled the ladders up, and the doors are closed, like no one can come in, so I just started kicking down other doors, like, till I found a way in, and now here I am. I got a comic book, like, I made one. That's what I was trying to do. Like, it's been a success.
Yeah, I've my comic shop guy was telling me the last time I was in there that he had heard about this whole, Dan DiDio being let go and DC doing their Generation 5 thing. As a retailer, what he's heard is that if Generation 5 fails, then DC is going to quit doing comic books, and it'll just be graphic novels. And that Marvel has reiterated that if that happens to DC, they'll go the same way. So I'm like, I think that's potentially a good thing, because it's not the collapse of the comic book industry. It's the collapse of these two giant trees that have overshadowed this entire forest of little trees, hundreds of little trees. And if they fall over and take each other out, they don't take out all these little trees. It's like all of a sudden there's light on them, and everyone can say, "Oh, look, we literally couldn't see the forest for these two trees that were in the way." And I'm finding so many new independent titles through crowdfunding in the stores themselves now that are popping up. I hear all about this as the end of comics. I see a renaissance in comics that's sprouting up, and I think, one day it'll be a totally different big two, and it won't be Marvel and DC, but it might be something like Absolute and IDW. It won't be IDW, but it'll be somebody that we're not thinking of right now.
It'll be Alterna Comics. There's a plug for you. Cut that out. Send it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you've just suggested, because that's not too dissimilar from the Comicsgate model in it. Like, when I was trying to work out the price to put my book at, like I was looking at the dollars to page ratio, like and in CG books, like, you get a lot of pages. Like, they're basically graphic novels that you're buying. People say, "Oh, aren't they expensive?" Yeah. But no, they're graphic novels. Like, you're buying whole books. You're not buying like floppies. Like, and that seems to be working really well. And if I was a big boss at one of those mainstream companies, I would probably be pointing at that and saying, we should do more like that. That seems like
absolutely.
It's got to be cheaper for them as well to print them. The distribution's got to be way easier. Like, instead of having to churn out like thousands and thousands of books every week, like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. And I think that's where I think there's an opportunity there. Yeah, I think there's an opportunity sitting there for distribution for someone to say, okay, all these people are coming this crowdfunding, and when you crowdfund your book, you're going to get a whole stack of books from the printer that you've now got to put in Gemini mailers and distribute. Ethan is sitting there distributing his books. Everyone else is distributing their own books. So I've got company now. My boy just made it in here. But I think if one person would come up and say, "Hey, I'm going to be the distributor for all funded books, and I'll take a sliver of the percentage from each of these projects," then all the books could go from the printer to one person whose job it would be to just do nothing but distribute. No creating required. All I do is I'm the middleman.
This is another thing.
I don't know.
When we started the whole CG UK thing, one of the topics that kept coming up, like in our early discussions, we're like building a culture in the group or whatever, we was talking about how expensive postage is from America to the UK. Like, can cost double what it does for domestic in America. And your postal service is outrageously expensive, like, compared to almost everywhere else in the world. Like, and so we was talking about there should be a place in the UK where Americans can send like a big block of books, and someone can just like dish them out to everyone and drastically cut the postage costs. Something that we're looking into, I guess.
Well, and the other thing, of course, is that nobody's taking blue line boards and running them down to a printer and having them set through a mimeograph machine. It's all digital transfer now. So you could have somebody file over the ocean to a printer in the United States, or from the United States to a printer in the UK, have it printed there and dispersed there to whatever is there, and pay domestic shipping rates on all the way around, no matter where you were.
Yeah, like for me to send a comic book in the UK, it's a fraction of sending it internationally. So the publisher Mixam, they have offices, like they have printers in America and Britain in it. So you can use the same person for both and ensure that you get the same like quality across both. You know what I'm saying? Across both sides of the pond, you can deliver exactly the same book from exactly the same publisher. Oh, hello.
And save all ship day last week. We do this annual best of the year. So we had the best movie, the best AE, and since we have a monthly cosplay photo feature, we say, well, let's take all 12 of those, and we'll have the readers vote on who the bombshell of the year should be. What's called the bombshell of the month. We'll have a bombshell of the year. And this year she happened to be in the UK, and I was like, okay, well, I've got a trophy. I've got to ship it over there. And, about €30 to ship this little goblet in bubble wrap. Not terrible, but it's not the €7 it takes to send something domestically. So it's definitely a bump. But yeah, I think onto something there. If you could print local to wherever you're going to disperse from. I'm probably not the first person to come up with the idea either. The trick there is that you have to hand over some of the trust of your product to somebody, because you obviously won't have it in your hands to do a quality inspection. And if you're somebody who absolutely has to be involved every single step of the way, you have to give that up to whoever's going to do the printing away from you.
Another issue as well is that you wouldn't be able to get them signed. Like they just have to be straight from the printer versions, and obviously having signed ones is a big deal. So yeah.
But you could get around that. Yeah, you could get around that if you had the covers printed local to you, and then signed the covers, and then shipped the covers off to wherever the printer was. Now you've just got one shipment. You don't have several shipments.
Yeah, and it's going to be considerably lighter in it to send 4 pages than 94 pages or however many it is.
Exactly. Well, Commi Mark, it's been a pleasure. Covered everything about the book. Is there anything that people still need to know?
Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube show as well called Gay Space Communism, where we look at communism in like popular culture, like when it comes up in movies or comic books or TV shows or whatever. And it's pretty funny, so go and watch that. And just on Twitter, just search for the CGUK hashtag and you'll find all these awesome people who you should follow. And that's it. Go and buy the book.
We will absolutely go buy the book. Exercise some capitalism in the name of capitalism.
Yeah, see if you can convert me to your team by giving me all your money.
Mark, appreciate it.
All right, thank you. It's good to speak to you.